In 1819, the American economy completely collapsed. Property values plummeted overnight, fortunes evaporated, and thousands of citizens who couldn't pay their debts found themselves locked inside heavy iron cells. The trauma of this financial ruin left a deep scar on the public psyche. Decades later, a victim of this crash would ride a wave of public anger straight to the presidency, embarking on a relentless crusade to hunt down and destroy the nation's central bank. The target of his wrath was the Second Bank of the United States. It was an institution chartered specifically to stabilize the nation's finances, yet it ended up becoming the exact engine that tore the economy apart. This forgotten crisis inaugurated a brutal rhythm of speculative manias followed by crushing depressions, a volatile cycle of boom and bust that would define American capitalism for generations to come. The roots of the disaster began 4 years earlier, in 1815. With the Napoleonic Wars finally over, a devastated Europe desperately needed to rebuild. They looked across the Atlantic, creating insatiable demand for American agricultural exports like cotton and wheat. To manage the resulting economic boom and handle the debt left over from the War of 1812, Congress chartered the Second Bank of the United States in 1816. Its primary job was regulating the money supply and keeping the nation's currency stable. This image displays a chaotic assortment of different unregulated banknotes. Instead of enforcing order, the Second Bank allowed local, state-chartered banks to operate with zero oversight, aggressively printing their own non-standardized paper money. This led to a practice known as specie suspension. Banks legally loaned out massive quantities of paper cash without actually holding the required gold or silver, the specie, to back it up. Printing money from thin air, they supported mountains of credit on a fraction of gold. Armed with this credit, citizens rushed to the frontier. Speculators borrowed heavily to buy public land, assuming a quick profit. Consequently, real estate prices skyrocketed, creating a massive asset bubble. The period was called the Era of Good Feelings, but the post-war economic miracle was an illusion. The entire country was caught in a highly leveraged debt trap, completely at the mercy of foreign commodity markets. In January 1819, the trap snapped shut. European agriculture finally recovered from the wars, and their need for American crops vanished. Global demand collapsed, and the price of cotton plummeted by 25% in a single day. The leadership of the Second Bank realized immediately that they were heavily exposed to this collapsing export market. With farmers unable to profit, the loans backing the entire financial system were suddenly toxic. To save itself, the central bank demanded immediate repayment of debts from smaller state banks, insisting on hard gold and silver. Drained, the state banks panicked. To survive, they aggressively called in their own loans, violently foreclosing on farms to scrape together cash. The localized devastation was absolute. In Pennsylvania, agricultural land that had just sold for $150 an acre crashed to $35. In eastern cities, factories shuttered, pushing thousands of wage workers into sudden, crushing unemployment. By prioritizing its own gold reserves, the central bank turned what should have been a normal market correction into an absolute economic disaster. Its survival instinct weaponized the crash, shielding the financial elite in Philadelphia while bankrupting the working class across the rest of the country. The widespread ruin birthed a deep, simmering resentment. A powerful populist movement emerged, fueled by citizens who saw Eastern financial institutions not as public utilities, but as an oppressive, unconstitutional, moneyed aristocracy. This anger found a champion in Andrew Jackson. Having suffered severe personal financial losses during the panic, Jackson developed a pathological hatred of centralized credit, and he rode that grievance straight to the White House. This political cartoon depicts Jackson physically attacking a multi-headed snake, representing his war against the widespread branches of the Second Bank. In 1832, he vetoed the bank's charter renewal and systematically drained its federal deposits, transferring the funds into allied, state-level pet banks. The bank's president, Nicholas Biddle, retaliated with a chilling counterattack. To prove the institution was indispensable, Biddle deliberately restricted national credit, intentionally engineering a second financial panic to extort the government into renewing his charter. But the extortion scheme failed. The public saw Biddle's actions as proof of what Jackson warned about, a concentration of power unaccountable to the people. By 1836, the Second Bank of the United States was permanently liquidated. By assassinating the central bank, Jackson's supporters achieved their vengeance, but they also eradicated the only financial regulator in the country. Without a stabilizing force, they guaranteed the American economy would endure violent, unchecked panics for nearly a century to come.